G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to kick off talking about the heal-off genius, Cray himself. The player has come up with so many different heal-off strategies. I talked in yesterday's video about how Epic has finally gotten rid of heal-offs. They nerfed the campfires, making it impossible to heal off in zone and get a win. And of course, Cray gets the last laugh. He makes me look foolish, and he's come up with a new strategy. And I want to show it off and talk about it because it is absolutely insane. I want to talk about the rest of the FNCS qualifiers. This is week 2. We had a really low participation in week 1, and week 2 actually isn't looking that much more insane. And if anything, the games have gotten even worse despite this, higher caliber of player or making Champions Division harder to get into. And I want to talk about why that might be, because I feel like a lot of you guys are probably potentially struggling to get champs, or if you are, you'll find the FNCS games not as stacked as maybe what you were expecting. Also, I want to talk about some new map changes that are getting leaked at the moment. We already know that Cube Town is supposed to be expanding on the map and it's going to be changing, but it actually looks like it might be expanding vertically into a shape we've talked about a lot. A giant pyramid. It is almost confirmed at this point we are going to be getting Cube Town turning into a huge pyramid, which I think could have a big effect on not only the map for casuals, but competitive as well. This could be happening as early as next week with FNCS finals and the Grand Royale right around the corner. Before I get into talking about who qualified, who didn't out of FNCS round 1, I have to talk about Cray. Man, if you guys don't know who Cray is, I'm sure you know by this point. He is the guy who basically revolutionized and really popularized the heal off strats. So healing off strats is pretty much any strategy that relies on being in zone for an incredibly long amount of time, not fighting your opponents, and still placing incredibly highly or winning. So this could be the Slurpee fishing strat, which is what popularized Cray. This could be the Orchard heal strat. We've also just seen other Slurpee strats. We've seen a whole bunch of these, but I talked in yesterday's video about how the nerf to relighting campfires was going to ruin heal strats. There was no longer going to be the ability to do heal off strats, and I think a lot of people agreed. It now takes 600 wood to relight a campfire, so once you use it once and you stoke it a few times, it is out, it is gone, and that's what a lot of heal off strats rely on. Well, Cray's back, and I actually cannot believe that he has now come up with another strategy at this point. So instead of using campfires, we now have Cray building up on top of the reboot vans and cycling each player through the reboot to save the white meds that the campfire would have gave you to then re-heal and then use the shield to out-heal Surge. Like, it is insane at this point. This guy has so many strategies. I think I'm gonna have to say, stop saying that they've gotten rid of heal-offs, because we've said that like 3 times, and Cray keeps finding new ways to pull off heal-off strategies. Now, Warranted, again, it's not as strong. They ended up winning this game. We had Boop go and make this tweet that kind of popularized it, but game 1 of FNCS opens today, Cray won the game, which means you can win a game with this strategy, and the zone was pretty far away. But one thing I did notice, the consistency isn't as much there, with certain zones being more difficult. But I'm noticing that Surge is the biggest issue with this new strategy, because you are spending so much time rotating up, falling off, doing all that. You don't have as much shield to out heal Surge. So when we get to the later rounds, especially round 2 and round 3, when the games are more stacked and they'll have active Surge for longer, I believe this strategy won't work as efficiently as before. But I wanted to mention it because, again, I've given my opinion on this so many times. I respect the hell out of Cray and people smart enough to come up with these strategies. I don't particularly want them in competitive because there's no way to counter them for the players playing the game normally. Therefore, in my opinion, it's not really competitive because there's nothing you can do to stop it. But I have a massive amount of respect for the intelligence it requires to figure these out. I'm sure Epic will do something else to now try to nerf this or get rid of it. It's not having as much of an effect because, like I said, round 2 and round 3, it's not going to be as effective, and that's when wins matter a lot more. But I can almost guarantee there is going to be someone who doesn't qualify for a round 2 because they lost a game to a strategy like this. And that's the kind of side that I always come from. Don't think I'm being a Debbie Downer. I wanted to show you because I find this hilarious. I find it insane that players can be this smart to sit there and theory craft how the game works, how white meds work, how Surge works, how Storm works, to figure out these theories. Cray, hats off to you, man. Kudos to you. You found another strategy. We did have Cray tweet out, the history of heal off in Fortnite is coming to an end. I think our new strategy is the last strategy for winning games in tournaments. So Cray knows that after this, if Epic finds a way to fix it, I think it's going to be all over for the heal off. But man, what a story and what a run for Cray. I had to at least mention this in today's video because I'm impressed. Moving on to the rest of FNCS, all the teams that did and didn't qualify. It's round one. It's honestly nothing too crazy. Every team, I believe, that should have qualified or was expected to out of round one made it. There was no huge upsets. Everyone is through. But I did want to talk about how that 1 week of difference for players to play Arena and get to Champions Division drastically affected how hard the games were or how many more points you needed to qualify. So previously in the first qualifying week on EU, you needed 107 points, and on NA East, you needed 81 points to get top 1500 to make it out of round one. In this week, you needed 114 on EU and you needed 92 on NA East. So we saw a very, very big jump between the two regions, and 7 points for EU is nothing incredibly crazy. And again, not a huge jump for NA East. I mean, 11, it's big. It's going to be hard for a lot of people, but I kind of expected it to be more. It's a big jump, don't get me wrong, but I really thought the participation in week one was down really bad. I talked about it in a video. The participation was just some of the lowest we've ever seen for FNCS, and a lot of us thought it was because of preseason. A lot of people were playing late game Arena. They weren't playing the actual Arena. They couldn't get champs because it was harder, but overall participation is now pretty low across the second week as well, having been given a whole nother week to qualify. Maybe teams thought after not playing week one, look, there's no chance I do really well in, week two and get round four and then I qualify in a semi, so I'm just going to give up and not try. I don't know. EU had really stacked games today. Active surge in almost every game I could watch. The high skill-based matchmaking, the top points, still getting really good games. Right around cutoff for qualification was getting good games. NA East was a different story. Some of the games were stacked for about an hour and then they kind of went pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I saw teams on, top 10 amount of points getting 20, 30 players in fourth zone. And I saw players really close to qualifying where you think the games would be stacked. Everyone's playing real safe and they were a bit more stacked, but they still weren't getting a lot of active surge. It was very strange to see such a big difference between EU and NA East that I don't normally see. I don't get involved in this whole which region is better debate. I watch all of the EU and NA East tournaments and usually they're pretty decently comparable in how stacked they are across the board, but EU was a lot harder today than NA East. So I don't know if there's a reason for that, but I just wanted to include it. I was expecting a way bigger jump up in the point threshold to qualify today. I thought people would have got their points up, got their act together. Maybe people just aren't enjoying Arena. Maybe Arena's just, it is genuinely harder. That extra 1,500 points to get 7,500 with the new Arena system is just harder. But then I would expect the games to be better. If it's harder to get champs and there's less good players though, the players that are in are going to be of a better caliber and playing well. We saw that in week one. The qualifiers were stacked all the way through, but now in week two, when there's more players, they're less stacked. So I don't really know. It's really confusing to me. As always, I encourage you to give me your thoughts down below in the comments. Let me know, what do you think has been causing this? Because I do go through the comments a lot and I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Let's start off talking about these new map changes that look like we're going to be getting potentially right around the corner as early as next week in the 18.30 update. So what are we talking about? Well, it's all happening around Cubetown. And when Cubetown first got announced, we first saw it. A lot of leakers talked about how the Cubetown is going to spread. And I talked in my first video about the update about how I was hoping it was maybe going to make its way north, maybe east, but if it went too far west, it would hit Boney Burbs. But actually, it looks like it might not be going in any direction except for up. We might have the Cubetown turning into a giant pyramid, and there's a lot of pieces of evidence that actually lead towards this conclusion. So let's jump into them. First off, and most notably, is HypeX's tweet saying the Cubetown might turn into a pyramid slowly. Don't worry, I have other evidence than this though. The pyramid that I talked about last season, because there's a string in the Cube Queen's effects that refers to her as the pyramid tip, and she'll also be holding her pickaxe after 18.30 with lightning effects around her. So first off, we have a weird string effect that literally refers to her as the tip of the pyramid. And right now, she is floating in the sky above Cubetown. And we also have confirmation from HypeX, like I just mentioned, the Cube Queen is most likely going to corrupt a large portion of the map, if not all of it, at some point. They added this earlier today along with a Cubetown corruption spread thing, and now it makes sense. That could be completely different. That could be something like the Cube Queen could just do a huge effect on the map, like we saw in the Ice King in the past. We've talked about that, but it also is a very suspicious time for two new additions to Fortnite. First off is the mummy. I mean, Mummies literally come from pyramids. If you guys don't know the legacy of mummies or what they are mummified Egyptian pharaohs. Like, that's what they are. And we get the mummy skin in the game right as this comes around the corner. And I know the mummy is very like Halloween. I know mummies are quite often in Halloween themes, but you get an ancient staff, you get a small coffagus, I want to say sarcophagus, small coffagus. Again, it has a whole bunch of cosmetics surrounding the mummy. And we also had the June skins leaked recently or released. We had them leaked and then released, and very clearly this is taking place in a giant desert or sand biome, which we don't have in the game. And if you actually look at the footage used for the trailer, this is nowhere on the map currently. Yes, they could have jumped into creative and filmed that in like some sand biome. Like, I get that. I'm not saying either of these pieces of evidence are 100%, but when you combine all three and the fact that it looks like Epic is really starting to kick up the pace on map development, I think it makes a lot of sense because, like I said, Cubetown doesn't really have anywhere to expand. We were told there's going to be upwards of 18 different stages of Cubetown's development as a POI. We all just assumed it was going to go, you know, horizontally, whether it was going to go like north, whether it was going to go south. But I think there's a good chance it actually is just going to go vertically and turn into a giant pyramid, which could be really, really cool, but could potentially be changing right before FNCS finals this weekend and just a few weeks out from Grand Royale. I almost missed it as well. We do have confirmation from Fortnite themselves that the cubes are doing something. So even if they aren't going to turn into a pyramid, they are definitely expanding in some way, and we are going to get major significant map changes in the middle of the map to Cubetown. It's going to develop. Epic tweeting out on the official page, what are the cubes up to? And this wasn't just like for Cubetown. This has been a few days after Cubetown, insinuating they are doing something and they are changing something. And we have other creators jumping on the wave like I am, of assuming we are getting a pyramid with the amount of evidence we have. We even had Typical Gamer saying cube pyramid locked. So Typical Gamer is pretty confident on the pyramid theory as well. Now remember, FNCS is in full swing. I'll be doing a whole bunch of viewing parties on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. So if you're missing out on the content, you want to know more of what's going on, swing by my Twitch channel. Feel free to ask questions, vibe out, have a good time, and I'm sure I'll have another video up for you guys later tonight or tomorrow about the round 2 and 3, because that's where things really spice up. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on anything I talked about today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.